Welcome to Life is Great. My name is Rabbi Wyne. I'm the rabbi of Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas. And every week we explore another universal value that is derived from Judaism that can help make your life the absolute best life possible. Today we are talking about trust. Now you know that trust is absolutely necessary to have any kind of relationship. Whether it's a relationship with our spouse, a friend, yourself, the Almighty, it really doesn't matter. We need trust. We have to have the tranquility of a soul that we can rely on the person in whom we trust. And if we don't have that, then ultimately there won't be any kind of relationship at all. Let's take a few minutes and try and examine how can we develop trust between ourselves and others, and how can we even figure out in whom to trust. Now, we know that trust is not an easy thing to develop. There is a story of a particular person. He's riding his bike along a mountain road. Around the bend comes a big truck, and he just instinctively kind of goes off the road, off the cliff below. Well, good news for him. He's hanging onto a branch. Seemed like there was some kind of tree that was sticking out. A little branch was sticking out of the side of the mountain. He's sitting there holding on. His bike fell hundreds of feet down, smashed to smithereens. Man's looking. He says, "Oh, gee whiz. Hello, anybody up there? There, right? This big canyon, it's echoing. He doesn't know anyone's around. All of a sudden he hears a booming voice. Robert, here I am. I am the Lord." He says, "God, can you help me?" He says, "Yes, just let go." Robert looks down. He looks back up. He says, "Anybody else up there? There. You know, it's difficult to let go. It's difficult to put our trust in other people. It's very difficult to put our trust in the Almighty. So I went out to my favorite coffee bean, and I asked some of you, I said, who do you trust? And what qualities does a person need to have in order for you to trust in them? Let's take a look at what some of you said. Who do you trust?
God.
Is there anyone else you trust?
My parents, my family. I trust most people.
What did they do to earn your trust?
Nothing. They have my trust right away.
You have a blind trust for people?
I trust most people until they break their trust, and then it takes a little while to earn it back, but I trust most people, yes.
You have any money?
Any money? Well...
Who do you trust?
God.
Anybody else?
My wife.
What did she or anyone else you trust have to do in order to earn your trust?
I think continue to have faith in myself. So, for example, I know God has faith in me. I know my wife has faith in me. So no matter which way I screw up, they're still there to hold me and be with me and continue to walk with me as I go day to day about my life.
Here we go. Can you name some... Who do you trust?
Who do I trust?
Yeah.
There's only a few people I trust. One is my aunt and my grandfather.
Now, what did they have to do to earn your trust?
They didn't have to do anything. I know that they love me and have been there for me my whole life, so I naturally trust them.
All right, so we heard what some of you had to say, but let's think about it for ourselves. Who do you trust, and what do you need to inspire the trust in you? So it's a very interesting thing, you know, sometimes we trust people for the craziest reasons. Sometimes we have blind trust. We have no idea why we trust in others. I have a very good friend of mine, Dr. Richard Rothman. He's a LASIK surgeon by profession, but we started studying together, learning Torah a couple times every month, and we developed a very close friendship. And for about 2 years, he kept saying, "Rabbi, I got to do your eyes. I got to do your eyes." And I said, "You know, Dr. Rothman, thank you, but I'm very happy wearing my glasses." Well, eventually one day I consented for him to do my eyes. So I go in, he checks them out. He says, "Yeah, you're a perfect candidate for LASIK." He's very excited. He's going to do my eyes. And then I go in for my appointment. You sit down right before the appointment. They give you a piece of paper. And I read the paper, and basically what it says is that if you go blind, they are not held responsible. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, I love this man. I'm such a dear friend. He's a dear friend. I have no idea whether or not he's a good surgeon. That never entered into the equation of our relationship. Our relationship is based on Israel, studying Torah, learning about how to be a better person. I never spoke to him about his education or how many procedures he had done. Yet at the same time, I'm sitting ready to go in there, have my eyes done, and I'm looking at a piece of paper, and I got to sign this thing, or it doesn't happen. So I say to myself, listen, I'm basically married to doing the procedure. He's a dear friend. I said I would do it. Sign away, and I go in on blind faith, so to speak, for this LASIK procedure. Well, the good news is he's a fantastic doctor. Everything's great. Great with me, great with thousands of others. But I only found that out after the fact, not before the fact. And I think sometimes we have to ask ourselves, really, who are we putting our trust in, and why do we trust other people? So it's an interesting thing. We have a tradition that there are basically three things that if we understand them and apply them, we can learn who to trust, and we can also learn how to get other people to trust us. And remember, without trust, there's no relationship. And without relationship, there is truly no inner peace nor happiness. Trust is that element that gives us a tranquility of the soul. It gives us a security of the mind that allows us to live a joyful life. It allows us to actually have a deep and meaningful relationship with other people. So, let's look at it, shall we? There are three things that engender the quality of trust that we have in another person. The first one is a knowledge, a confidence that the other person loves us and wants to do what is good for us. See, if the person doesn't love us, and if we're a little bit in doubt of whether or not they want to benefit us, it's very difficult to put ourselves in their hands and to allow them to do whatever they need to do. Rather, we'll always in the back of our minds will be saying, gee whiz, maybe they have an ulterior motive, maybe they'll really bail midway, perhaps they don't know what to do. That's the first thing. The first thing is that we have to know that the person loves you and wants to benefit you. The second quality that engenders trust in another person, the person in whom we trust has to have the ability and the knowledge in order to benefit us. In other words, maybe they just don't have the ability, or maybe they don't know what is to our benefit or what's not to our benefit. It's an amazing thing. How often have you been in a relationship with someone and they said, listen, I know what's good for you. I can take care of all the issues. And they don't know nothing about nothing. They have it all wrong. So we have to understand that they know what is good for me, and they have the ability to do what is good for me. Not just the ability, but that no one else is going to stand in their way. And to have complete trust in a person, we have to realize that they are totally in control. It's not like they have to go ask permission from their wife to help us or their boss to help us. No, they are the decision maker, they and they only. The third element that engenders trust in another person is that they have to have a precedent for helping us. They have to have a precedent for showing kindness to us even if we're not deserving. See, again, no one is fully deserving all the time, and everyone makes mistakes. So if the person just comes into your world and says, hey, listen, I love you, I want to help you, I know what to do to help you, that's fine and dandy. But that's very different than a person who's been taking care of you for years before and saying to you, listen, I helped you last year, I helped you last month, I helped you last week, I love you, and you know what, even though you're not always deserving of my kindness, I'm still going to help you. That kind of person we can put our trust in a much, much deeper way. When we stop and we look at all of these things, we realize that the only one we can truly put our trust in is in God. See, ultimately, it's only the Almighty who has always shown us kindness since the day we were born. Ultimately, it's only the Almighty who really knows the ins and outs of every situation, and ultimately it's only the Almighty who really will never be deterred by another situation, will never be deterred by another person. There's nothing that's hampering God. God has no limitations, so therefore we can trust Him fully. So, even as much as I love my spouse, or I know that my parents love me, sometimes people make mistakes, and sometimes people's talents and knowledge are limited. But God's talents are not limited, and God's knowledge is not limited. So when it comes to really fully putting our trust in someone or something, ultimately we will only be able to put our trust in our Creator. That is the essence of it. One of the best tools for enhancing your trust in God is to look back upon your life and ask yourself, when in my life have I ever been lacking anything? Now, remember, everyone has challenges. No one has a charmed life. The only person that has a perfect life is the person you do not know very well. We've always had challenges. But if you look back in your life, you say, you know what? There was a time over here when I didn't think I could pay the rent. And somehow the rent money came through. There was another time when I was very, very sick, and somehow I got better. There was another time when my mother had a problem, and you know what? That one seemed to work out too. When we look back in our lives and we look at all the different challenges and how eventually they worked out, then we can have trust in the future. Because if things have worked out in the past, then why should they not work out in the future? So that's a very important tool that we can use in order to have more confidence that the Almighty will take care of us in the future. And also, one of the greatest benefits of trusting in the Almighty is this very deep knowledge to know that no person can help me and no person can harm me without the permission of the Almighty. Those two elements are huge because, again, all of us seem to be in the situation at times that we're dependent upon others. And in a certain sense, we are dependent upon others. But in the most real sense, God runs the world from beginning to end. And if things have always worked out in the past, they'll work out in the future. And if I know that God is infinite and intimately involved in everyone's life, so then I know that nobody can help me, nobody can harm me without permission from the Almighty. Therefore, when I walk into a business meeting, I don't have to flatter the guy there. I don't have to sell my soul, so to speak. I can live with confidence that if I'm doing the right thing, and if I'm aligning myself with what the Almighty wants for me to do in this world, then I can have confidence that because of His unending, unbounding love and kindness towards me, that He will continue to show me kindness, and He'll be able to take care of me and will continue to take care of me. Before we go to break, I want to just extend a great invitation to you that if you're ever in Las Vegas, please join me, Rabbi Wyne, at Young Israel Aish in Las Vegas, and I promise we will do our absolute best to make you feel welcome. You just come on up and say hello, and always be friendly, because everyone around the synagogue, everyone around the shul is also friendly. I am Yitz Wyne, the Rabbi of Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas, a wonderful, welcoming community that I would like to introduce you to today. One of the things that's really unique about an Orthodox synagogue, and I think Young Israel Aish in particular, is that not only do I know everybody's name, I know your dog's name. It's really about a personal relationship, about everyone should have a relationship with a rabbi. Judaism teaches us that every person needs a rabbi, you need a friend, and you need a student to really get the fulfillment of wisdom, to really understand what life is about. I'm always explaining the concepts in the Torah, in the Bible, explaining Jewish values and challenging people to understand what those values are. All the wealth God gives me is really in order that I should benefit others. Spreading Jewish values, positive universal values. Those are the things that have led us to have a YouTube channel that has more than 250,000 views on it. It's the weekly radio show, The Rabbi Show, with its own unique website. We do trips to Israel every single year. But my rabbi told me the most important commandment is to live life with joy as much as possible. Because if you have joy and enthusiasm and passion about life, if you really feel the Almighty's love at every corner, so then you will have the direction and the enthusiasm and the energy to fulfill all of the other commandments. And it came to pass, when Yitzhak had become old and his eyes dimmed from seeing, everybody has something they want. When you step into the world of young Israel age, and you are welcomed by the right kind of community for you, so then all of a sudden you have support. You have support in terms of your personal growth, your spiritual growth. You have people you can share the good times with in your life, and people who you can share the difficult times in your life. And the result that we've seen over and over again is the people who become part of our community, they just have a much greater sense of life fulfillment. They have a sense of friendship, of connection with community, of connection with others. When you walk in that door, you will be greeted with a smile and come straight up to me and say hello. You don't have to be bashful or shy. No one else around here is. You just walk up, say hello, introduce yourself to me. So I really hope that any person that, whether they read the book, they listen to the radio show, they come to Young Israel Aish, whether it's every single day or once a year, that they acquire a piece of wisdom that forever enhances and enriches their lives. Do you know someone who needs a little more happiness in their life? Maybe it's you who needs more happiness in your life. Yes, you've seen the Life is Great TV show. You perhaps have heard the Rabbi Show. But now it's time to get Life is Great, revealing the 7 secrets to a more joyful you. This book was something tangible that you can give your friends and family, where they can keep by their bedside, take it on vacation, leaf through it page at a time or chunk of pages at a time, and each time they will learn another secret, another tool that they can use in order to get the absolute most out of life. What better present can you give your friends and family than the wisdom to live a better life?
Rabbi Show is a fun, energetic, positive program that has changed my life. It's helped me be happier, more productive, and just generally a better person. Because of the Rabbi Show, because it's so great, I now donate every month on the rabbishow.com. And because I'm a better person now, I earn more income, and now I can also donate to the Rabbi's Life is Great television show also. And you too can benefit from this magnificent programming that's really going to change your life also.
Go to therabbishow.com today. Make a donation, and Rabbi Wyne will send you a free Jewish calendar for the new year, along with his personal blessings. All donations are tax deductible and help us share positive values which make the world a better place for everyone.
Welcome back to Life is Great. This is a segment we call the Rabbis Inbox. All you have to do is send me your questions or comments to rabbi@therabbishow.com, and I will definitely respond to you, and I might even read your question on the air. So let's go straight to it. Number 1, Dear Rabbi, I suspect but have no proof that my husband of over 10 years is having an affair with another woman. Should I trust him? How can I trust him if he is doing something behind my back? All right, so the first point here is you don't have any proof. That's the first thing. So you need to sit down, of course, have a calm, non-emotional conversation with your husband and actually ask him in a way that he's not threatened, define what your relationship is. What is an affair? What is an inappropriate relationship? What might be inappropriate to you might not be inappropriate to him. And the first thing is just get on the same page with each other. The next issue is a question to you. Would you rather be happy or right? And I know it sounds like a crazy question. But when I ask this question, many times people say, I just want to know the truth. I want to know the truth, until you find out the truth. Now, I am not by any means advocating lying to a spouse, hiding from the truth. But what I am advocating is understanding boundaries and understanding that, wait a second, sometimes a guy and sometimes a girl need a little part of their life that is separate and outside. It's separate to themselves. It might be away from their family. It might be just for themselves. And just because that person is spending that time by themselves does not mean necessarily that they are abusing the trust you've placed in them. And it does not mean that they're necessarily breaking a vow or a covenant that they've made with you. That being said, if it has been established that the person has broken the trust, then you have to stop. And again, you go into negotiation mode. Once you know that you are right, and again, I say you know that you're right, the trust has been broken. A lot of times, trust can be repaired. It takes time, and both people have to be committed to rebuilding the trust. But if there's no proof, and if there's only denial, then I put out as a word of caution to you. Sometimes people just need a little more space, and if they get a little more space, then they can maintain the sanctity of that relationship. And if you stop and say, no, I got to know the truth, I got to know the truth, I got to know the truth, I've seen too many times where that quest for truth has actually ended up being the cause of a separation, of a schism within a relationship. So proceed with caution. All right, the next one is, Dear Rabbi, my wife calls me a worrywart. I've heard you speak about how the commandments are supposed to lead us to personal perfection. What commandment can help me with this? Okay, so there's two of them. One is the Jewish holiday that we are actively involved with right now. In a few days, we will experience the holiday of Sukkot. It's actually called in the English Bible the Feast of Tabernacles. The reason it's called that is because it was an international holiday. And all of these values that we discuss in Life is Great, they are universal principles that are derived from Judaism. The reason it was called the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot, is because all the nations of the world in biblical days came to the Beis Hamikdash, the Holy Temple, which stood in Jerusalem, and offered up sacrifices. Everyone got involved in this. Why? Because it was a holiday that celebrated trust in God and rejoicing over life. And trust in God and rejoicing over life, these are two things that are universal messages. The commandment specifically that will help you with worrying is the commandment of living in a sukkah for 7 days. You'll notice that many Jews at this time of the holiday of Sukkot move out of their homes and go into a temporary dwelling, a dwelling that is covered with foliage and just literally if a strong wind could blow it over. So every night, I do this with my boys, we sleep in our sukkah, and you sit there and say, if the weather would change, if a strong wind would blow down, my house would blow down. And sometimes you just have to leave the confines of the security of your world just for a little bit to realize how much we can rely on the Almighty. When we seem to place a lot of trust in the security of my job, my paycheck, my house, all the things that I take for granted, so then that causes me more worry, not trust. It causes me more worry because intuitively we know that, a person could lose their job tomorrow. A person could lose their house. A person could lose their health. So rather than trust in those things that I take for granted, we pull outside, sleep under the stars for a few minutes, and put our faith and our trust in the Almighty. That is one way that we can learn to stop worrying. The more we trust in God, the master of the worlds, the controller of everything, then the less we will worry. The other thing, and I encourage you to do this every day, is prayer. Prayer is a discussion that we have with the Almighty. It starts off by saying, hey God, thank you for creating me. Then you have a discussion with the Almighty in the same way you'd have a discussion with another person. You could do it in my shul, Young Israel Aish. You can go to another house of worship. Or you know what? You can go out to Red Rock. You can go in the forest. You go for a walk by yourself. And just have a personal discussion with the Almighty. And by allowing yourself to cast your burden on God, you'll be amazed at how the burden will be relieved from you, and say you'll feel that you are not alone. And it's not just an illusion. If you really are sincerely believe in the Almighty and believe the Almighty is involved in your life, so literally you cast your burden on Him, and those things you are worrying about, you know what? It's all about bringing the Almighty into your life in a way that He will share that burden. And I guarantee you, if a person has a daily conversation with the Almighty, whether the conversation is just thanking God for all of the blessings He's given you, or doing what I do, which is praising God, thanking God, and making requests, I guarantee you, your heart will be more settled, and you will learn to worry less. I want to thank you for joining me today, and Life is Great. Life is great! And welcome you to come back again next week for more inspiration and discussion about these important universal values. Next week we'll be talking about happiness, and how to bring more happiness in your life. My name is Rabbi Yitz Wyne, and may the Almighty continue to bless you and your family with only good things.
Well, I know with the rabbi, it's changed my life. When I came in, he told me, I was thinking here, my life, that I was going to do these things and it was going to be very difficult. And I learned through the rabbi and the Rabbi Show that God has all these things planned for me, and I need to think big. I need to think big, not little. You know, I don't limit God. And that's one of the great things that I got from that. This just opens up for everybody, those universal truths that can help them change their lives and become the person they were meant to be. And if you'd like to donate, go to therabbishow.com. You can change your life and many other lives at the same time.
Want more wine? Turn your radio to AM 720 KDWN or go online to therabbishow.com to hear The Rabbi Show starting right after the news at 9 a.m. Go to therabbishow.com today. Make a donation, and Rabbi Wyne will send you a free Jewish calendar for the new year, along with his personal blessings. All donations are tax deductible and help us share positive values which make the world a better place for everyone.